Hey guys, I just wanted to share the new timeline overlay and sequencer overlay, how to use it and where you can find it, kind of what the point of it is. Um, so if you're not familiar with Blender 5.0, we can now have both a storyboard scene that's up here and we can have multiple cameras. I kind of talk you through the vanilla version and the features in my previous YouTube video. And then down here, we can have a separate editing scene that has all the scene strips. So if I scrub through, it'll just jump to the different cameras. So we can see the scene play out. And you can also then, just scrub through a shot like this if you want. So that's kind of the gist now with Blender 5.0. This is really, really powerful and really easy to use, even though it might look a little chaotic. But it's a great new feature and it makes everything very streamlined. And then again, with the storyboarding setup in Blender 5.0, you can just hop over to the video editing workspace and then actually cut, subtitles and other things and audio together, that kind of stuff. So that's where you do that here. That doesn't show up in your storyboard scene, but you can just, hit play and it'll go from scene strip to scene strip, so it just jumps those gaps automatically now natively. So basically on a Cintiq, I noticed that I was, you'd have these two things open to kind of work and edit and see everything, but it got a little crammed and your canvas was a little bit smaller. So I would go full screen and then I would just be drawing, and if you have your camera unlocked from view, you can just make this bigger and just draw. But I noticed I'd have to remember what the first frame is of a camera, so I wouldn't go beyond it. So that's where this idea for having the new viewport overlay and sequencer come in. So if you go to Whippet camera view settings, you can do viewport timeline and you can do viewport sequencer, and then each of these are just scrubbable versions up here. So as an example, I would just hit full screen, so control space, and then you can also hit N to remove the thing, and then I can just I can zoom in here on the canvas, and then now I can see all the keyframes for the respective grease pencil object and layer here. So if you switch over to your fill layer, it'll say fill, and then it'll show you all your fill keyframes. So here I can see the cameras that are in the dope sheet, and then down below is the sequencer. So you can scrub both of them if you hold Alt and middle mouse. You can see on the screencast what I'm doing, and you can just scrub along. And then same thing for the sequencer. So then here I can see how the shots, play out. So this is more, the whole point of this is just like a visual guide. You can't adjust anything here. You can't select a keyframe as of now. Maybe I add that in the future, but for now it's just purely a guide. So essentially you just set up your camera and then you just draw. You can go to full screen and you kind of see what's going on with your shot. If you want to adjust how zoomed in it looks, you can just zoom in on the sequencer before you go into that, and you see you'll start seeing the names pop up. You can do the same thing with the dope sheet. You can kind of zoom in and then full screen again. So now you can kind of see, you can read the names better, stuff like that. So that's kind of the gist. It's just been nice to have something just to reference where you're at before you're going to the next shot. And if you go to edit preferences, go to Whippet, you can scroll down and there's a bunch of new settings here. So you can set the location of where the bars live. And this is all just because if you're on a Cintiq or a smaller monitor with a tablet, that's all for this. You can adjust the height of the bar, the timeline, that kind of thing, the width of it, the font size. So you can make it as small and as large as much as you want. There's also a scrub sensitivity, so the higher the number, the faster you'll scrub. So if I lower this to now it now it won't scrub as easily, or it won't scrub as fast. Then if I put this back to 2, it's just, yeah, it scrubs faster. So that's just up to you how you want to scrub. You can adjust the camera strip height, where this object information lives, depending on how long the name is. You can change the sequencer strip color. So right now it's just one solid color. I didn't think we need the color tags or anything like that, but let me know if you want it to be like correspondent to anything. Again, it's just a visual reference guide. You can change the keyframe, the current frame color. And yeah, same thing here. You can adjust the height and stuff for the sequencer, and then you can scrub between your shots, that kind of thing. So those settings are kind of crucial here for this. So feel free to adjust those things as you need. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. It's just a reference to be able to see where you're at. So it's kind of nice to, like, you know, go full screen, draw, and just not worry about everything. If you are using 2D storyboard mode, which I am here, because this whole thing is just 2D drawings. If I zoom out here, you can see my setup is just like, it's just one grid, or like a perspective box that I have. So whenever I want a new shot, I can just align, you know, the angle that I want, and then I just draw everything in 2D to that. So here you can see kind of, it's just faked depth in a way. So if you set the sequencer to the actual camera, this is a new update that I fixed. So basically, if you have multiple instances of the same camera as a scene strip, so like, actually maybe I should do 7. So here you can see we have camera 7 3 times. So we cut back to camera 7. So here's the first time we cut to camera 7, and then we cut to her responding, and then, you know, we cut to her turning out of the way, and then we jump to the shot. So basically now, before, if you were to increase a strip length, a camera strip length, then it would also increase the scene strip length for all respective cameras. But if you have it on the appropriate one, like the one that you want to extend, which I recommend you setting, then it will only extend this one out. So now if I hit shift, I'll just hit shift D to duplicate the drawing. You can see that the scene strip and the camera strip are increasing in length. So this is getting longer, and the scene strip gets longer, but the previous ones do not get longer. And this is so that in case you've edited the duration of a previous scene strip, it'll retain that, because you don't want to actually, you don't want to actually adjust any previous scene strips. So that's just one thing to note. So if I Control Z, you can see it goes, it went back, it decreased again. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. You can, of course, you can delete keyframes. So Control D is one of the Whippet shortcuts, and then it will delete a keyframe. So all of that stuff you'll see in real time. So again, this is just a visual guide. You can't adjust like the duration, or sorry, you can't select a keyframe and move it. You can't move scene strips around. Maybe that's a feature. If you guys want that, we can look into that and try and figure that out. Give you some like gizmo buttons to do that stuff. But yeah, so if you ever need to like move anything, you gotta open this back up. So Control Space, and then, you know, retime, stuff like that. I'm recording this earlier for some reason, even though I tested this a lot yesterday. If the scrubbing doesn't work, like you going between, I don't know why. See, it works here. If it doesn't work, just go to your panel and just toggle them on and off, and then the scrubbing should work. I'll keep testing this and look at what might have caused that, but I tested this a bunch yesterday and I didn't run into that issue when I fixed it. So let me know if you guys run into any bugs. There are a few bug updates as well that I shared in the patch notes, both on my website and then in the Discord. So be sure to check that out. And again, yeah, so edit preferences, and be sure to set everything here. And then just a friendly reminder on if you're new to like updating add-ons, make sure you uncheck Whippet. Like if you have an old version of Whippet installed, open Blender, go to here, go to edit preferences, go to add-ons, uncheck Whippet, and then hit uninstall. and hit OK, this will properly uninstall the add-on, close Blender, reopen it, and then install the new version of Whippet. But yeah, I think that does it for this. Hopefully that's helpful. Currently, I'm trying to figure out what to do next with like teaching and proper tutorials and things like that, or pre-record stuff. If you have any thoughts or curiosities, I got some feedback about my current YouTube tutorials, which was really helpful, but I want to make a lot of like core grease pencil stuff is already covered in a lot of places. So that's why I don't have like fundamental stuff available. It's just strictly the features of the add-on. I got time right now, so I might try and redo that or make like shorter bite-sized instructions or demos and like how to really use the add-on more robustly and things like that. But hopefully that was helpful. Definitely reach out via email or in the Discord, and I'll be around all week. Cool. See ya.